to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to another week of insanity, insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain. Oh, God, now that's a song going back. I remember Jojo and I camping on the island, on Vancouver Island in the early 1990s and hearing that song. Teenagers, God, the teenagers that played that song, they're probably parents now. Anyway, welcome back to the Frivolity. It's the end of the summer here. Last week of August. Should probably be a fairly calm week. I don't really think we're going to see a lot of fireworks here. This is kind of a weird week. If I understand correctly, there's a bank holiday in London, UK, maybe England only. I don't know. So some of the Europeans are away today. And of course, next Monday, Monday the 4th, is a big Labor Day holiday weekend here in North America. Not quite sure whether there's a holiday in Europe or not around that date, but it is a pretty big day here in North America. So long and short of it here is we're sort of going to be unwinding, the summer silly season, all that kind of talk. Did have some pretty big technical breakdowns price-wise through the latter part of last week. It's a little bit of a surprise, but nonetheless, the signals came in fast and furious. I suppose in the after party on Mondays, we like to take a quick boo at some of the screener results. Just give you a little taste of what is behind the Great Wall, as they say. And talk a little bit about what the engine is telling us here. So, demonstrator of best practices. I think it's a good idea that, number one, I think it's a good idea if you're going to be a risk taker in the market, you be completely honest with yourself and your trading plan and your journals. Right from the get-go, I had a very, very poor sleep last night, and I suppose as you get into your older years, unfortunately, you do run into that. Well, I don't know. I don't know whether it was so much my age. Had a very intensive, we'll say, conversation over the weekend. On Sunday, we have our team meetings, trying to figure out what the plan is going forward. So I was a little bit stressed about all that. So I kind of gave myself permission not to be too stressed first thing this morning. And if anything, I like the idea on Mondays that you start right out of the gate with maybe a review of like higher time frame charts. If you fancy yourself a day trader or something along those lines. And then if you did any work through the weekend, came up with some ideas, get those orders working. In fact, I could even, just as we speak right now, there is one idea that was mentioned in yesterday's broiler chicken show that I really liked. Thank you very much, TRI community. I think it was Cotter who specifically mentioned this stock. Good looking stock. So anyway, threw a bid in here at the breakout point here this morning. And you can even see my little note here. So I'm trying to pick some up here at 222. Of course, it's typical stock market. Today's low is 222. Did they give me a fill? No, the bastards. Drives you crazy. And now we're at 227, up a better part of a nickel here on the day, 226 to 227. So somebody obviously wants me to get frustrated and panic and just market buy. I think I'll just work my bid at 222 and see if I can get filled over the next couple of days. I don't think there's a huge hurry here, especially the end of the summer. But there's a really good example. We can even For the purposes of demonstrators of best practices, we can even write on something like this, bid working to buy at the double bottom breakout, but we'll just say 222, something like that. I tell you, that's it's a good looking stock. So and of course it's in everybody's favorite industry, guns and butter, guns and ammo, guns and something. Anyway, let's see if I can move this over here so I can at least see it, something like that. So let's go like that, and then let's pop on over to the spreadsheets, and we will add it to our registered account plan. Where is RSP? There we go. I think I was over here. Actually, I just have it under stock check. Anyway, we'll just say, and do your own due diligence. Of course, you know me. I'm never going to tell you what to buy or sell in your account. It's your money. 197, but I will say that's a pretty good looking, we'll say bid to buy. What the hell is the name of it again? Funny. Ammo, POWW. It's just funny symbol too. I used to have one client who literally, he didn't even really care. I mean, this is years ago. He didn't even care what the company was involved in. He just liked, and I'll even make a note over here. I think this was Cotter, so we got to go shout out to Cotter for interesting stock idea in BCS, something along those lines. And if I get a fill, then I'll do the write up on the website and the whole thing. So anyway, all right. So starting off here, Monday morning, computer actually operating very well. Knock on wood. And thank you for your best wishes yesterday. It was really cool, and I did the video late yesterday, seeing all your guys going good luck with Liam. Liam was actually in great spirits, and we had a really nice drive where we drove up into the mountains and got to see all the beautiful British Columbia before the winter kicks in here one last time. So that was really nice. So thank you for all those karmic wishes. And like I said, as soon as God, I mean, he's such a beautiful child. I mean, he's 23 years old, but he's so beautiful. And every time he smiles, I see his mother in him. So it's very touching. As you can see, diet, and okay, poor, sleep, not so good. So anyway, so I had a bit of a tough time last night. What's going on in the world? Like I said, it's the end of the summer. So news-wise, actually on Mondays, I'm noticing these days, kind of light on the news side. So global stocks generally moving higher. Japan had a pretty big night overnight. And from what I understand, the Chinese are trying to come in and support their market. You can see Beijing support. Long and short of it here, I think that the tide had been basically flowing in China's favor through that whole fear cycle from starting 2001, 2002, right up to 2018. And I might argue that 2018 through 2035 should be a period that's what I would call, and what I call in the education program, the greed cycle. And that should actually, you should see like basically, it could be like 15, 20 years of capital just flowing out of places like China. So not only do they have the sort of the wind in their faces now, as opposed to the wind in their backs, they're a totalitarian dictatorship, right? We shouldn't be condoning and helping. If anything, we should be angry at our local governments for not having a backbone and standing up to these goddamn commie dictators. So anyway, hopefully maybe that's going to be the trend over the next 10, 20 years is we in the West actually get a bit of a backbone. That would be nice. So I got the impression that Number one, illiquid market, the end of the summer. Most professionals are not around this week, probably up in the Hamptons if you live on the East Coast of North America, up in Muskoka if you're in Canada. I suppose if you're on the West Coast, up in Whistler and all that kind of talk. I'm not quite sure what the various different vacation spots are down in the States, but on the West Coast. But anyway, you get the idea. Um, I also get the impression that there was a bit of selling that was done last week. Like I said, we got a lot of technical breakdown signals, and it's almost kind of like we're in kind of a bit of a vacuum right now. So if we actually look at the price charts, we certainly don't have any huge buy signals, but at the same time, too, it almost feels like anybody who wanted to sell sold, and now there's almost just a bit of a vacuum, and we're just all waiting. Okay, what's the next sort of shoe to drop? And I think a lot of people are watching how China is going to act here. Did see on some of the news headlines, they were kind of talking about how China's trying to stabilize, and they're trying to, but they're just doing too little, not enough, right? China's economic woes, what's their impact on the West? Seeing a lot of that kind of talk right now. And also kind of talk that Beijing's stock market playbook won't work for long. So people are a bit skeptical about, what the measures that the CCP is taking, and they're lacking. And of course, they can't do anything because there was a bubble, and the bubble is now popped. And so now we're on the other side of the bubble. And the question is really ultimately how bad is bad? And it could get pretty bad in that part of the world, right? I've always sat here and scratched my head. I'm trying to figure out why there are high-priced, high-rise condominium buildings in Thailand. I mean, for the longest time, people went to Thailand because they were pedophiles. I mean, that was just it. It was sexual tourism, and that there was no a major industry there. And frankly speaking, over the next 15-20 years, I think all of that has to go back to the way it was. This bubble of this idea that China's the new world order, I think that's gonna just evaporate. But anyway, that's just Brian's 2 cents. So other than that, the wrangling of Hollywood and actors and executives, that's sort of business as usual. Nothing really special going on there. A little sad to hear that having race issues down in the States. I did find though that and this I think is a commentary on the media, that they like started the headlines off with white man goes after black man, in racially motivated attacks and stuff. So, I mean, they could have spun the news headlines differently to diffuse the situation, and we talked length at this definitely over the past little while. The media definitely has been given instructions by their masters to inject as much instability in the whole racial conversation as possible. Having said that, there is no excuse for any racially motivated behavior. And the person, if they were, quote unquote hate crime, well, you should fucking tie them up by their feet and hang them in the trees. And everybody should come along and be able to whack them with a stick. In fact, actually, a really cool story in Shogun, one of the guys who tried to take over Japan, he lost the battle. I can't remember what his name was, but his enemy buried him in the ground up to his head, and everybody that was his enemy was allowed to come along and kick him, and basically he died from all the abuse of all the people that hated him. So that's I think that's actually appropriate kind of punishment. That'll put an end to that kind of shit real quick, but we don't live in that kind of world. If anything, woke society can't do that kind of stuff anyway. Um, so I didn't really see. I mean, like I said, disappointing things that you don't really want to. Kind of hoping as a society we moved away from this stuff, but doesn't appear to be. And then a lot of just what I'm actually seeing is just sort of business as usual, with the idea that that China, the Chinese dream is starting to unwind. And if anything, the local politician in my country, oh boy, is he ever up to his ears in hot water over China's meddling in our society. So I hear it every single day, whether in Canada. So anyway. So there's your news. Sort of happy go lucky. Not really. Kind of is interesting, Mr. Trump now. The way that the woke, I don't know if you call it woke or not, but they've set it up that, like, literally, and is this an accident? I don't think so. But literally, his trial begins at exactly the time when the Republican nomination process gets underway in earnest this coming winter. So, was that done intentionally to derail his reelection bid? My hunch is yes. So you can see judge sets March 4th for Trump trial date. So if anything, I wouldn't even be surprised if we see a bunch of fireworks around that period in American society as well. But interestingly enough, I don't think you're going to see like stock market crash kind of behavior around that. Maybe heading into the event, you might have like a sell the rumor and then buy the news kind of event. I could see something like that. So, and if anything, I like this headline. I think this summarizes the sentiment very well. Biden is old, Trump is corrupt. So what the hell are we gonna do? I mean, what choice? It's like you jump out of the frying pan and into the fire. Politics. And actually, there's 16 people watching this on YouTube. So let's all answer this in unison. How can you tell a politician is lying to you? It doesn't make a difference. They're all doing their own personal agenda. And if they ever had the audacity to actually come out and tell you the truth, you would never vote for them. Thank you, Constantine. Thank you, Guilt. Yeah, thank you, Luke. And of course, Cole. Or somethings. Cole, you would probably like this. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But Cotter had a cool idea for us yesterday. Look at this cool little stock. That to me, that's got cool written all over it. Anyway, I don't know whether you're into the whole guns and ammo kind of thing, though. Maybe not. But gee whiz, that's a good looking little stock there. So anyway, the problem here, of course, Mondays usually they do this anyway. It's kind of a light news day, and actually that's school program. What do I want to show you? This page, yeah, here we are. So Econs, pretty thin. So we got 5 a.m. The Mexican balance of trade, and actually interesting. Mexico theoretically should be a net exporter, so it's fascinating how they're actually running a trade deficit. That's a bit odd. If anything, that's probably a sign that the Mexicans are actually feeling a little bit more wealthy these days. Dallas Fed was expected to come in a pretty damn negative number. You can see how early I do my write-up. I didn't even have any of this stuff, but that's it. So we had Mexican balance of trade at like some ungodly hour first thing this morning, and then 7:30 my time, Dallas Fed sort of survey results. And how did they come out? Minus 17.2. Well, that's not bad. If anything, the market was looking for minus 21. I mean, that's a train wreck number anyway. And if I understand correctly, there was, over the past 5-10 years, there was a massive movement into like Florida, Texas, just to a certain degree, Arizona, but not so much Arizona, but definitely Florida and Texas. So I'm wondering whether what's happening here is you're just having sort of a ebb and flow kind of thing with the Fed raising rates. Half of the problem was that, the workers were just demanding too much money. So them raising interest rates has put the kibosh on sort of new business, and maybe, being one of the places, Texas, that really did very well through that whole sickness environment and people getting the hell out of the blue states and moving to the red states. Maybe you're seeing just a little bit of backfilling on that. I don't know. If we look at the data in general, that doesn't really look like an overly optimistic picture, does it? Lower highs and lower lows defines a bear. We just did break to a substantial lower low. So we can't even really say that the economic activity is trending higher. It's trending lower. And if anything, here's a good example of the market breaking. Remember, all through this period, interestingly enough, the US Fed did not want to lower interest rates. And they were, I remember Trump was basically at war with Powell about lowering interest rates, and he wanted interest rates lower, and Powell just wouldn't budge. So, call it the sickness. Frankly speaking, I think the sickness was just purely an excuse, but corporate America was dying over the at then relatively high interest rates. There is an anecdotal piece of evidence of the market actually breaking, the Fed breaking the system, and then at this point the Fed goes, okay, fine, we've achieved our goal in screwing all of you over. And now we'll lighten up and take rates down to nothing. Then of course, yep, we run out of time. Yeah. So, there is if anything, this is a really good visual of our economic situation right now. It's not as bad as the absolute crisis period, but I can definitely see it. We've even had a few people at in the TRI lounge go, "Jesus, it's kind of quiet in the market these days. What's going on?" Well, I tell you what's going on is the Fed is basically taking everybody's money away from them in the form of higher short-term interest rates means no more free money. People were basically using their houses as lines of credit and piggy banks and just living off of the free money. Especially in my country, this was like a trend for like 10, 15 years. And those days are over. So it's belt tightening time, folks. And I did spend quite a bit of time yesterday. I mean, don't kid yourself here, people. And this is I think the difference between a guy like me and a lot of people that are really motivated to sell newsletters and all that kind of shit is I'm not going to sugarcoat this. If this is an ugly chart, it's an ugly chart. And I got to say, from like the Bitcoin perspective, if you're looking at price momentum, this is one damn ugly chart. That is about as ugly gets. And that's a weekly price chart. This market will not be trending higher until this downtrend is broken and we actually put in bullish structure on the other side of the trend line. And you want to know what that could look like? Notice this. All the way down here, right? You could even go all the way down to there. We broke it, but where's the W? Where's the W? I don't see any W. Oh, geez, going to new lows. All right, we broke it. Okay, give me a W on the other side of this triangle. Oh, Jesus, new lows. All right, and there is now your W on the other side of this trend line. So this might, and you might even argue, well, as time goes by and a new resistance point comes in, we can move these lines over. But I would even just go off of that original M. I think that's actually a perfectly valid study like that. So you can see the new trend higher established through here, right? And this makes sense, right? Buy when it snows. And this is your typical very end of the crypto bear. I showed you on social media. Where would that be? How about over here? Maybe. Too many links. Too many links. I don't know what I did with that. Oh, maybe. Let's go library. And let's go social and we'll go here. And then we will go over here. And this is what I want to show you. And I talked about this. Actually, I thought I did a 3-part chart. Maybe I didn't save that. Anyway, this was the last cycle. So, the end of 2019, very normal seasonal rally. This happened to get all the way up to 61.8. But then we had to come all the way right back down to the bottom. Actually, in very typical Gardley fashion. Although the end result was like a 1.272 move, not just 88.6. But comparatively speaking, it's the same thing. So end of 22, beginning of 23, seasonal rally. Buy when it snows, sell when it goes. And my hunch is be ready, mindful, able to take advantage if we happen to dump down into October, November here. And if anything, if this dumps on news that has nothing to do with Bitcoin itself, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want to see. So, the writing's on the walls, kind of like what I showed you here on the momentum chart. That's a weekly price chart. That is, if anybody was asking, why is the space kind of quiet? Well, we're getting just massive sort of technical question marks. And of course, we got this trial with this silly FTX guy coming up here shortly. So who's going to be bullish in the face of that? It's going to be day after day after day of how utterly and brutally corrupt crypto is. And it's just going to be like, yeah, well, we broke the law and moved $1 billion from here over to here. Well, so what? We're crypto kids. We can do any old thing we want. It's going to be day after day after day of that. There's no way the market's going to be bullish in the face of that. So my hunch is that we're due for a bit. It's going to be a bit of a tough slog here over the next few months. So just be prepared, folks. And if anything, you want to keep this really, really simple. Brian and his overbought and oversold indicator, same sort of thing. When we were sitting down here stupidly oversold all through the latter part of 2022, you should have been getting ready for the bull move. Kind of like up here, I got to kind of leave this crap alone when Bitcoin was like, 50 G's or whatever. Well, it's the same image. I mean, if anything, this is a really cool analogy. We can just simply say, what are you supposed to think when you see Willie smiling at you? That's not usually a happy-go-lucky message. That's be careful. If anything, I think I'm probably going to leave the video at that, the public video. We'll pop on over and have fun in the after party and look at some individual stuff. Maybe look at the Bitcoin on lower time frame. But just understand, if anything, there is a really, really good analogy of the current market state. It's not bullish. So be prepared, folks. And if anything, it makes perfect sense. What do I want to buy? I want to buy guns and ammo. So on that note, PMA for the win. All the best. Slow and steady. Don't take no wooden nickels. Remember what your number one job is. And bye for now. Insane in the membrane.